Dax the Axe Harwood did an interview with Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select this week. And this was a really fun interview, actually. Dax is really he really opens up in interviews. If he trusts you and feels comfortable, man, he'll spill his guts, you know. And he really opened up with Sean. And it talked about a wide variety of things from, you know, the amount that they're being used on TV and to, you know, the fun that they've been having on the indies, working with like the Rock and Roll Express and all that. Dax talked a lot about CM Punk and even a little bit of Sasha Banks and about how maybe they're misunderstood and that they just have a passion for wrestling and that, you know, Punk was always good to him, and lots of really fun stuff on there. But I thought the key takeaway from this interview was when they were asked about, or when Dax was asked about FTR's contract status, he was pretty upfront about what he might be looking to do or what the FTR might be looking to do when their AEW contract is up. Check out this clip.
I think your deals are probably up next year at some point, as of now, unless you guys have re-signed. But not only do you have, you know, you're in AEW, but WWE's got a new regime. You very clearly made a good impression on New Japan. You very clearly made a good impression in Mexico. So not only do you have one options, you have options that branch into other options coming up. So, I mean, how do guys like you kind of look at that and survey the landscape, which was categorically different than the last time you were on the free market?
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's very intriguing and very exciting. Here's the thing. Hunter took a chance on us in 2015. And he put the tag belts on a relatively unknown, relatively unproven tag team, and he let us run with it. And then he gave us American Alpha, and he gave us Enzo and Cass, and he gave us DIY, and he gave us that platform. And then we went to the main roster, and things happened, and when we were ready to go, Tony Khan picked us up. You know what I mean? And so I have loyalty to both of these guys for what they have done to me, or done for me and done for my family. But also, I'm never satisfied in wrestling.
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff I want to keep doing, and I've got a short amount of time to do it. So Cash and I have talked, our deals come up at the end of April. I'd have to check with my lawyer, Mike Dawkins, but I think that's right, the end of April. And we've even thought about, you know, what if we just take a year off of TV wrestling?
Sure.
You know what I mean? If we do take a year off of TV wrestling, I don't think you'll not see us. You might not see us mainstream, but it would be so Cash and I can, one, rest our bodies because we haven't been able to do that in 8 years, but two, we can do things that make us happy and bring joy to us, and then we'll go from there, I guess.
So I saw that AEW has a tag team title match planned for Dynamite this week. FTR will challenge the Acclaimed. I don't know that it's FTR's time anymore. I think it might have passed them up, which fucking sucks because I wanted that visual of FTR holding all the gold, right? They got the Ring of Honor tag team titles, the New Japan tag team titles, the AAA tag team titles, and I want them to add the fucking AEW tag team titles to that. But it should have happened all the way back at All Out over the fucking summer or Labor Day or whatever it was, when the Bucks still had the tag team titles. That was the match, and I'll still bitch about that every chance I get because it was a travesty. But now I think, look, now we're at a time where FTR is going to eventually lose these tag team titles. You know, they're going to start to lose the AAA tag team titles, the New Japan titles. They got a defense in January at Wrestle Kingdom, and I think that, you know, that might be a place where they end up losing the titles because they can't be over in Japan nonstop, right? It was a fun little gimmick, and it was the perfect time when they were winning all the gold to win the AEW gold and to win it from the Bucks. The Acclaim's hot right now still. They're you know, maybe cooled off a little bit, but AEW as a product has cooled off a little bit. So I don't think that's necessarily a problem with the Acclaimed specifically. I look, Daddy Ass, man. He's fucking Daddy Ass is the shit. He gets over. But so I don't know that they're going to be taking the titles off of the Acclaim, to be 100% honest with you. I couldn't call that one. I can't look at this and be like, yup, FTR is going to be running away with it. And look, if they do, I will love it, because FTR is my favorite tag team, and I do believe FTR is the greatest tag team in the business right now. Period. End of story. Though another great thing Dax said in this interview with SRS is he was asked, who he thinks are the best. And Dax said that he thought the Briscoes were. He said that the Briscoes were very underrated and that they were probably the best tag team in the world, next to FTR, of course. But I think it's a little too late. They should have pulled the trigger on it over the summer. And I don't know that FTR's got much longer to be holding all these other belts, to be dripping in the gold, to be doing the Ultimo Dragon thing with all the belts, right? I just think it was a missed opportunity. And look, I'm glad it worked out for the Acclaimed. They were certainly the beneficiaries of FTR getting buried. But it's a little too little too late now at this point. I don't know that the steam is behind FTR. I know the fans love FTR, but it's not just being over. You have to ride the wave of momentum, right? Like, you could feel it in the air, like it was FTR's time over the summer. And that's why it was like such a weird switcheroo when like FTR was in a fucking, they were in an 8-man tag, and then the Bucks went to do the trios titles, and they switched to Swerve in Our Glory for the tag. It's like, what is going on here? So I feel like FTR's moment, and then they haven't been on TV. Like, all of a sudden we're getting tag team title shot. You've been fucking buried on TV for months and months now. They're not even on the AEW video game. Literally the best tag team in your company. And I'm not saying that, you might have a more favorite tag team, but if you're going to match skill sets here, FTR, pound for pound, is the greatest tag team in the world. Period. Maybe the Usos, but I would say FTR could probably outwork the Usos as well. It's FTR all day, every day, but they don't have the momentum behind them right now. And frankly, if I was Tony Khan, I don't know that I would pull the trigger on the Acclaimed losing right now, because then now you're just going to kill the Acclaimed. You're in the process of building the Acclaimed. And I don't know that there's momentum behind FTR. The fans will always love FTR and respect FTR, and they will always be deserving of the tag team titles. But they need to be on that trajectory, right? Where you're like, oh shit, I can feel this coming. This is their time. And just a random pop-up match on a Dynamite? No, this is probably not going to work out in FTR's favor. And if that's the case, then, I hate AEW so much. I really do. Because I love AEW. I was a huge AEW mark, but how do you botch? Look at Miro. The guy hasn't even been on TV still to this day. Did Miro bang Tony Khan's girlfriend or something? Like, literally, what's going on here? FTR, same thing. Like, these guys are barely used. I do think Triple H will spotlight them better than Tony Khan has at this point. The only perk to them being in AEW is we get to see them do other shit, like the AAA, the fucking New Japan stuff, Ring of Honor. We're going to wrestle the Rock and Roll Express. Like, those are the fun things that FTR gets to do because they work for Tony Khan. But he has not used them as being the greatest tag team in the world. And did they rub him the wrong way backstage? Did they got a beef? I would love to hear the shoot interview after FTR leaves AEW and just hear the details why. And this is why I have lost faith in AEW. This is a perfect example of this. Because if you have a team like FTR on your roster and you fucking keep them off TV and you let the Bucks play their politics and fucking run from them and refuse to work with them, and you bury them and you want to push other tag teams, which is fine. Swerve in Our Glory is a fine team, or was at the time. Acclaimed is a fine team. They're on the up and coming here. And certainly the Acclaimed would not have had their moment if FTR was the ones getting the belts at All Out. They would probably still be champions, right? But at the end of the day, like you're just not using people properly. There are multiple people on your roster that you're using like dog shit. I don't think Tony Khan's a good booker. I think he's in over his head. I think he needs help. And I think he's going to start to lose a lot of these key figures. And I think rightfully fucking so. It's time for FTR to go. It's sad to say that, but I think, if they go to the WWE, I think Triple H is going to treat them much more seriously. See, Triple H knows. He's an old NWA fan. He was a fan of Arn and Tully. He understands this dynamic. He understands what FTR are. He understands what FTR brings to the table. He will know how to use them. He's not going to try to put them in cartoon character outfits, to be the uber gimmick. You want us to be a gimmick? Fine, we'll be every gimmick. That was a stupid Vince McMahon idea. Triple H will not make those same mistakes. But I like the idea of them taking a year off first. And here's why they're going to take that year off. And I'll lay it right out to you. Dax didn't say it in the interview, but this is why. Because they still have aspirations. They like doing shit like wrestling the Rock and Roll Express. They like going to New Japan and wrestling at Wrestle Kingdom. They like having that. They're just being used like shit on AEW TV. So if you take a year off from being on any TV and you get it all out of your system, you go work the indies and you have all of your dream matches that you could possibly have as an independent talent, right? Work for yourself. Make your money, and they will. They'll be top indie stars if they do that. They will be the hottest ticket on the indies. They will be used all around the country, probably all around the world. They'll probably still be doing New Japan stuff. And then when that year is up, when they are ready, when they've gotten all of their dream matches out of their system and had all of their fun around the rest of the world, because they're not going to be able to do that in WWE. Right? But what they will be able to do in WWE is retire. So they'll do their year off. They're going to leave AEW. They will not renew their contracts. They're going to take a year off. They're going to get their dream matches out of their system. Then they're going to go to WWE and they're going to fucking sign a nice big fat 3 to 5 year contract for big money. And they're going to just fucking ride it out on the main roster, make that money for their family, and be able to retire on top there. And that's the trajectory I see for them. Because if I were FTR, I do not want to stay in AEW. There's weird politics going on there with the Young Bucks. We've seen it with FTR. We've seen it with CM Punk. We're seeing it. Okay? There's shit. It's not all friends wrestling. It's all friends wrestling if you're friends with the Bucks. If you're not, or if they want to hold you down for any reason at all, you're going to get held down. And it's time for them to go.
Let me tell you something, brother. You can check out full episodes each and every Sunday right here on this channel, dude. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to take your vitamins and say your prayers, brother.